Hello, guys. Welcome back to the show. Today, I have with me such a great guest, and she kind of helped me with my own personal journey, which we will talk about a little bit. Maddie, would you like to introduce yourself?
Welcome to the Honors Podcast.
Hi everyone, my name is Maddie Litvan. I'm currently a senior and I'm in the honors program and I am so excited and honored to be here.
That's great. Tell us about what you do in the world and where are you from as well. I want to hear the lore.
Absolutely, I'll give you my tour guide introduction spiel. But like I said, I'm a senior here at High Point, and I'm originally from right outside of Chicago, Illinois. It's a town called Wheaton, and it's kind of a small area in the western subdivisions. But moving to North Carolina, I always just say I'm from Chicago, so I'm going to go with that. I'm a major in data analytics and statistics, and then I have 3 minors in economics, computer science, and political science, so I'm kind of all over the place there. Outside of being a university ambassador, I also work as a tutor in the economics department. I'm currently the president of Alpha Phi Omega, which is the co-ed service fraternity here. And then I'm also currently the governor of the Carolinas district of Circle K International, and Circle K is another service club we have on campus. I was also briefly in the club running team, but I'm still an avid runner to this day and honors member till the day I die.
Wow. And this is what I had to listen to every time I shadowed Maddie on tour when I was getting approved to be an ambassador. And I would be standing there for like 5 minutes while she's just saying all the stuff she's involved in. And I was like, that's what I live up to as an ambassador and an honor student. So how did you even get involved in all that? Did you take like summer classes or pick up all those minors and...
Oh my goodness. It was a rough journey. I can't even lie to you because I came in undeclared.
Really?
So I had no idea what I wanted to take. And then I actually took Dr. Graham Squire's honors program class, which was, it was the Math and Democracy. Math of Democracy. Thank you so much. I took that class and I said maybe math is the avenue for me. So I became a math major after that, and I then specified it into data analytics and statistics. And then I just kept like a ton of minors that I felt like I might be interested in. And I ended up taking like 18 credits like every single semester that I've been here, except for this semester. It's kind of been a crazy journey, but I'm glad I did it.
That's fun. And then did you know you were going to be involved in Alpha Phi Omega, and then also Circle K, which are both huge service communities around the country, not just here at High Point?
Yeah, totally. So I actually rushed Alpha Phi Omega my second semester my freshman year. And I ended up finding it because my RA at the time, who was in honors, Rory King, he was in Alpha Phi Omega, and he kind of brought in a ton of us. And I ended up falling completely in love with the people that were in it, the service opportunities, and everything like that. So I've been a member since my freshman year, and I was really excited to step into the role of president. But in Circle K, actually, I was in Key Club in high school, which is the high school version of Circle K. So Circle K was one of the first things I came for, and I was looking at the involvement fair my first semester freshman year. We actually didn't have a Circle K club on campus, so myself and Cameron Eller were the 2 people that chartered the club, and we were able to grow it from just the 2 of us to over 65 members, and it's still a pretty active club to this day, so I'm really glad we were able to do that.
That's fun. Okay. Data, statistics, and analytics. How did you decide on that major? And tell me about what does that mean? And what are you hoping to do with that?
Absolutely. It is quite a niche major,
Very.
not only on this campus, but kind of everywhere. I initially took AP statistics class in high school. Shout out to anybody who took that class. It's not the easiest one. Definitely did not do as well in that class as I thought I would. So if you told my high school self that I was a statistics major now, I probably wouldn't believe you. But like I said, I took that Math of Democracy class with Dr. Graham Squire. And I kind of realized, I love math. I love being able to, figure out equations like that. I love working on, paper and kind of figuring everything out. I really lean more towards that than I do anything, English related or anything. So I kind of knew math was the right avenue for me. And then looking at, job markets and stuff like that, I kind of asked myself, what specifically in math should I kind of lean more into, whether it be computer science or data analytics or actuarial science. And I decided on data analytics, not only because I had the classes with the requirements that I was the most interested in taking, but also because I figure I could be a data analyst once I graduate, which hopefully is my end-all plan.
That was fun. Do you have anything lined up for you, job or grad school wise?
Yes, I do actually. So I'm currently in the interview process for a couple jobs, but right now I'm looking into any jobs in the financial consulting and financial advising kind of area, especially with data analytics. A lot of the jobs require you to have experience in like Power BI and Tableau, for example, a lot of like higher up skill sets that we don't really dive into much at High Point. So I'm hoping to first get a job as a financial consultant so I can kind of gain experience in like the financial sector. And then from there, move into a data analyst position. And my end all goal is to work for a nonprofit so I can kind of combine my passion of data and service together.
Oh, that'd be really nice and kind of brings that all together.
Totally. Hopefully.
So, I was doing some research for this episode because I was like, data analytics? What the heck is that? And I'm all about history. And I figured Maddie probably won't know any of this, so this will get me on her level.
I'm really excited.
So do you know how long we've been doing data analysis for, if you had to guess?
If I had to guess, I'm going to go like, this is so wrong. Why am I going to say like 15 years? That's all I'm going to say.
We have been doing data science since ancient Greece.
What?
And ancient Egypt.
Seriously?
So in the true sense of the term of like, ever since the rise of civilization, where we've had huge populations, we've needed to like catalog the number of people, the number of sheep, the number of crop output, and all this stuff for like administration and government and like tax census as well. That was a heavy thing in Egypt.
Right.
So math and like data collection has always been part of human societies, which was shocking to me too, because I was thinking like during the 1900s at some point when like computers emerged.
That's what I was kind of thinking.
Yes, but that's more just modern data science, but the like pure practice of it, like taking data information so we can make logical decisions and solutions about these different industry sectors, we've always been doing that ever since the dawn of organized society.
That is actually bananas to even think about, and I probably should have used common sense when I answered that. I can imagine them like in ancient Greece, like writing stuff on the what's that old paper called?
Yeah, or you know that ancient computer like with the beads.
Yes,
you know?
what is that called? No, why was I gonna say meniscus?
My typing ASMR. It was abacus. Abacus. No, that was the first computer thing.
Like, you know when you move the little beads from side to side and that's how they would count? I think it's called like an abacus, right? Something with an A would make sense to me. Here's the thing, and I don't know if this is a hot take, but I'm glad you brought this up. We as a society need to circle back to that being the main way that we count things.
An abacus?
An abacus, absolutely. And here's what I think. I think that would streamline communication as a whole because everyone's asking, like, what was the total here? What's going on? Everything's digital now. With the abacus, everything is being displayed. So it's like we know what's going on. There's a huge gap in the market for utilizing this technique for counting and finance, everything like that. I think it would really lessen the complications of modern day financials, data analytics, anything like that. I'm really on board with bringing that style back.
Like a physical abacus?
Yes, absolutely.
Do you know how many beads we would need to count the stuff we need today?
I think that's something that we'd have to work out later, 100%.
But we need just like a giant wall
need a giant
abacus.
abacus.
That's just like,
Yes, like we as a society, we count a lot of things. Like
that'd be so satisfying to watch. Like
totally, right?
Replace all of Wall Street with just a giant abacus.
That's what I'm saying. Like, you know how they have like the stock tickers and everything?
Yeah.
We should just have abacuses going around.
That'd be so cool.
Mm-hmm.
I can imagine it. I feel like that'd be a cool sci-fi concept.
Absolutely.
Because you know, like the far sci-fi future where it's like we revert back to simple things. You can get rid of all computers because like they're going to take over us. So we have to either like implement technology into human brains. So we have like human computer people.
Mm-hmm.
And also, so we have the physical counting system.
I'm absolutely on board with that. I think you and I should like start a company.
Oh,
and it's
I love
we're
starting
selling
companies.
these. Okay, let's do it.
Yeah.
Okay. Business
my fear was coming in as an undeclared major, so I thought it was entrepreneurship.
Oh, okay.
Changed that very quickly, but I still kind of have that passion for businesses and all that stuff, entrepreneurial spirit, all that stuff. Anyway, back to the history of data science. As we kind of know it today, especially working with businesses and financial sectors, that was kind of started in the late 1800s by a guy named Frederick Taylor.
Oh.
and he implemented something called Taylor's System of Scientific Management. And he was a direct advisor to Henry Ford.
No way.
Which you can see how that makes sense because Henry Ford kind of revolutionized streamlined manufacturing. So kind of like taking logical data samples of how long it takes to do this part of the assembly line, labor movements, and all this stuff to like make logical decisions on these large scale business models.
Oh.
Because it's not just your mom and pop shop, it's just 3 people. You can track all of that.
Wow, okay.
Yeah. So that kind of first happened in the 1800s. And then the 1900s start happening. And then this is where it gets really interesting, kind of more relevant to modern day. I don't know if this is how it's kind of lined up with our program here, but in my research, data science was occurring along AI technology development and all that stuff because a lot of AI stuff, especially neural networks and machine learning, those are built on large data sets. All that
They
stuff.
are,
So data
yes.
science comes into that. So I didn't know if you had any knowledge of that in your program or if you learned about any of that.
Oh my gosh, we actually are learning about this right now. A lot of it comes into play with like you said, neural nets and then data mining as well because like, for example, I think some of the most common AI platforms like Gemini and ChatGPT, all of those were built on very large data sets that help the AI to like learn from itself and become smarter. So I'm sure everyone knows like these large AI platforms like ChatGPT and Gemini, the reason that they're so successful and most of the time they're very knowledgeable in what they do is because they're always learning because they're always obtaining new data to go off of. So every time that you put something into ChatGPT, it's becoming smarter inherently because you're adding to its own data set and it's reading off of that and adding onto it and figuring out identification, everything like that. Especially neural networks, I feel like in more recent years, like AI visualization has become more popular than anything else too. So you can plug an image into Google and it can tell you what dog breed it is or anything like that. All of that is built off of neural networks and specific streamlines and like hidden pathways, and it like can analyze like specific parts of an image and spit out the results, everything like that. So it's really interesting to see like exactly how much data is utilized in that and kind of come to a bigger understanding of that.
Yeah, and I'm sure you'll be taught some things when you go into the finance sector because they're probably using that in that regard too.
Totally, I'm kind of excited.
So for fun fact, the term machine learning was first coined in 1957 by a dude named Arthur Samuels.
Thank you, Arthur Samuels.
So yeah, that's where all that stuff. I'm sure you know who Alan Turing is. You know who Alan Turing is? Have you ever heard of the Turing test?
You're gonna have to remind me.
So the Turing test, he was a big AI guy and he like wrote a lot of stuff on it. Back before there was like the first robot that like beat someone at chess and all of that. These were like the early developments of machine learning and all that stuff. He kind of coined the term and kind of wrote the predictions for what AI would be, and he developed something called the Turing test. It's where can an AI pass this test to be imperceptible to another human if it's an AI or not. ChatGPT has passed this test by all standards. Like you could, like someone could be texting you, but using ChatGPT responses, and you would not know for a hot second whether or not you're talking to ChatGPT.
Okay, this kind of makes sense because sometimes like emails I get, I'm like, this sounds like ChatGPT.
Yeah.
But like I wouldn't really know, honestly, because it's gotten so good at it.
So that's what the Turing test is, and it wasn't passed for a long time until ChatGPT really came along, but that's only passed it in like the written context, and that's the goal is like humanoids and like it was all those scary movies.
Scary, yeah, I'm frightened.
So yeah, he was a big dude in the 60s and 70s as well when all that fun stuff comes up. And then I got really interested in like, okay, so when did like a bachelor program for computer science start? Do you have a guess on this?
For computer science, I want to say like, I'm going to go like 1972. I'm just going to throw that out.
Okay. It's earlier than that.
Seriously? I was going to say later. Like the 60s? There's computer science already?
Yes. 1966, the Florida Institute of Technology made the first like computer science and then also data analysis and statistics.
Seriously.
Which I think makes sense because this is where the space race is happening at this time, and this is when we're starting to send humans to space and all that stuff. And
right.
Obviously, all those launch sites are in Florida.
Right.
So these like graduates from Florida Institute are immediately being employed with NASA because there's a lot of data analysis and all that. Because oh my gosh, space race stuff is so interesting because it has to be perfect.
Yes.
Like, did you ever watch Hidden Figures?
Yes, I love that movie.
And like the one girl and like the exact math calculations and like she was doing it last minute to like verify that like orbit and all this stuff. It was like crazy. It's so
I
beyond me.
know, it's so crazy. And that's why I always say like math and statistics, I feel like are coined as like, oh, you're just sitting there writing on a chalkboard or anything. But I loved the Hidden Figures movie because it was like, it showed how important math is and like the stuff that people usually don't really think is the behind the scenes work. It shows like a decimal point off calculations can be cataclysmic.
Yeah. I just realized I actually lied to you. So computer science was 1966.
Okay.
Okay, that makes sense. But then data analytics and statistics was
Earlier?
2014.
Are you serious?
Yes, at Ohio State University. And
Is
that was
the
the
first
first
ever?
undergrad bachelor's program for data statistics and analysis.
It was 10 years ago?
Yeah.
That is crazy to think about.
Yeah, so you're a pioneer.
Wow, okay, thanks. I'm going to add that to my resume.
Pioneer.
Pioneer in the data firm.
Pioneer in Oregon and all that fun stuff. So, and that was really interesting to me. So I was like, do you know like what masters or degrees like your teachers have typically? Because then logically they wouldn't have a bachelor's of data statistics and analysis.
I don't know. We have like 3 or 4 like specific statistics professors.
Yeah.
They're all so smart and they all have PhDs. I don't even know in what, but they are so smart and they do like a lot of intense research and stuff. They're from all around too. It's really cool.
That's good. What have you valued about your faculty in the School of Math?
The math department professors are actually the best on the planet, and that goes on the record. They're absolutely amazing. It's a really tight-knit community in the math department.
Yeah.
There's not a ton of math majors or anything like that, so we all kind of know each other. But they're always down to talk to students about absolutely anything. And I can say this with my chest, but everyone that's majoring in anything math-related is inherently considered a nerd. Like, we all kind of nerd out about stuff, but it's fun because your professors will nerd out with you. So it's so fun how many times we've been learning about something in class, whether it be like AI related or just math, and then our professors will go on a huge tangent, like how does this relate to the real world? Where is this math seen in the real world? They'll tie it back to their own personal research, and all of them have like so many different experiences in so many different countries and areas around the US. So it's so interesting to hear about, and it kind of gives you hope, like, oh, that could be me someday.
Research in the stuff, because I know on tour everyone's kind of scared to go into couch and all that fun stuff.
Oh, yes.
And I've been told we have supercomputers. Is that true? Or I know we at least have high
We have
data processing servers.
We have really high data processing services, not as much in the statistics, more so in like the engineering departments, computer engineering, because we have 2 engineering tracks, computer and electrical.
Yeah.
I'd
and
say
we just added mechanical as well.
We're still working on the mechanical track, I think, but most of the high processing computers and stuff like that are more so like in the 1st and 2nd floor of Couch. But we do have like the Steve Wozniak computer,
Oh.
which I don't want to misword, but I think that's like the first something.
Oh, the one that's like in that shrine?
Yeah.
I know what you're talking about.
I think it's the first computer, don't quote me on that, but it's
I don't
something
feel like
historic.
it would be, because like why would he give it to us?
He wouldn't. I would not.
Like, wouldn't you keep it yourself?
I would keep it in my own personal home. But it has a little shrine in Couch Hall if you guys are ever interested going to the 1st floor. Can't speak to the history of it, but it's very cool.
Yeah, it's so bulky too.
Mm-hmm.
It's a tiny thing. I always go by that on tour because I'm like, I don't really know what I'm talking about, but here's a cool shrine and all that stuff. And I'm like, so which one of you used one of these?
Exactly.
Like,
the parents get a little awkward laugh, and that's all you need.
Yeah, it's all good. It's all about that joke pun on tour.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really fun. Since math is not a typical thing a person normally loves, I am very curious how it influences the rest of your life. Your perspective on reality or how you communicate with friends and all that stuff. How does math play into everything else?
That is an amazing question. I really incorporate math into my normal life, and this is crazy to admit because I know that this is definitely not the coolest thing to go about my life, but I've always been into math, and I think I always will be, and I want to say you see the world differently, but I think I just kind of am more interested in different things. For example, like some of my favorite math theories to go into, first of all, is Benford's Law, which is, like, I'm not sure if you've ever heard of that before.
No, I totally want to hear about it.
This is so cool. Okay, so if you're ever interested in doing any sort of, like, financial fraud or, like, kind of lying on your tax forms or anything like that, I'm not sure if that's anything you've done before, but if you're interested in kind of coining that and getting a little bit better, the, like, IRS has a way of tracking how people will, like, lie on their tax forms, and it's by using math with a theorem called Benford's Law. And how that works is most people, when they lie on their tax forms, will put an even distribution of numbers. So, like, let's say they took $2,100, $25, $16, like random numbers, and all of the digits that they use will be completely random because they think that's the best way to fake number systems. But actually, especially when you're filing taxes and any financial reports, there's an uneven distribution of the amount of times that a digit will end on the number 9 versus like number 1. So the most popular is number 9, and I would say that's like it ends in like 40% of the time versus a number ends in 1 like 10% of the time. And it's like an even curve right there that it follows. So the IRS utilizes like this math theorem, it's called Benford's Law. And if your tax forms follows the even ratio of 9s to 1s, 4, 5s, everything in between, then they know that your taxes are not fraudulent. But if they're completely random and each number ends like an equal amount of times, that's one of the ways that they detect fraud.
Wow. That makes sense. That reminds me of, I love this YouTube channel, Versatium.
Oh, yes. I know what you're talking about. Yes.
And one of the episodes was about if you ask people to choose a number between 1 and 100, they're most likely to choose 37.
Really?
37 or 73, but 37.
7. The number 7 I've heard is like a really popular one.
Yeah, 7. Like, they think 7 and 3 is like the most random choice to you. And like watching the whole video, the like least chosen one are any of like the 10 digits or like 0. Because like no one would ever choose that.
Yeah, no one would ever do that. Exactly.
Yeah.
Same idea with this.
Yeah, and there's 37 occurs in some math theories way beyond what I could possibly explain, but it's a really interesting video. There's like some theory and like there's a pattern that predicts and it circles around the number 37.
Really?
Yeah, 37 has some like symbolism in math.
I don't know if it's a Fibonacci number. I love a Fibonacci sequence as well, and I'll always notice them. Like, do you know the Fibonacci sequence?
I do, but I fear I don't understand it.
It's
like, what
really
is the pattern of it?
So it's just adding on the previous number to the number that you currently have. So like 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13, 21, so on and so forth.
Yeah.
34. So 37 is not a Fibonacci number. That pattern occurs like so many times, like in nature, and then it follows like the mathematical number phi, which also occurs so many times in nature. So like the same way that people will like look at people and you can kind of determine like in portraits, like the layout of faces and like the natural layout of faces and everything follows like phi and that natural like system and everything like that. And it's so cool to see like all the mathematical practices and how many like different like calculus and everything like that has branched off of the Fibonacci sequence and how often it occurs in like nature, everything like that. So I always nerd out about that too. It's like my like biggest thing that I always notice.
I know, like that was very cool to learn in high school because of like the golden ratio stuff.
Yeah.
And like we were talking about like Cleopatra is like statistically the most beautiful woman to ever live because there's like that one statue of her. But yeah, like math, like the universe runs on math.
Yes, it's so cool to see.
Like it's literally the basis of reality and all that stuff. I was playing 20 questions with someone the other day. Whenever I play 20 questions, I just do infinite questions because they need to get whatever I'm thinking of.
Absolutely.
And I was thinking of quantum mechanics.
Oh,
which is a really fun choice for
yeah, how
20
does
questions.
that even like...
Because the questions they ask you is like, does quantum mechanics fall into that? And all that stuff. So it was really interesting. And I don't know, quantum mechanics is a little freaky with the math, but it's very cool. And I love learning about stuff. So like I loved AP Calculus in high school. That's what I took. And like, I was kind of disappointed that like I did graph theory for my math credit.
Oh, okay.
So it wasn't as crazy math as I would have liked it to be. So I was like, that's it for my math credit, I guess.
Yeah, we're all done here. You can always take
not
more
to discredit graph theory. It was a great class and I learned a lot. But I also love, because math is like, there's a perfect answer.
Right, and I love having like one exact answer to everything. I don't like things left in the open. That's why I didn't like the Challengers movie.
The Challengers movie?
With Zendaya?
Oh.
There wasn't an ending. Not to spoil it.
There wasn't?
No.
I haven't seen it yet.
I wouldn't recommend.
You wouldn't recommend?
No, because they leave it open-ended. Like, there's no exact ending.
Wow. I love tennis, though, so...
If you're a big tennis fan, maybe give it a go, but...
I also do love Zendaya, so... I'll watch it.
Then maybe I have a skewed opinion, but they ended it with, like, no ending, and I said...
I hate anything that ends with, it was all a dream.
That's very Challengers-esque.
That's why I hated...
It's very unsatisfied.
The Boss movie, or Boss Baby.
The Boss Baby.
Because it ends with, like, it was all a dream. I just had an overactive imagination.
Yes. It's so unsatisfactory.
Yeah. Okay. Here's a quote. Data scientists are among the most sought-after positions in America.
Oh, this is great to hear.
Yes. So you'll be pretty good. But, very honorsy, look into the future. How do you think this demand will change in the next 100 years? will it continue to be high demand, or is this a temporary step until a different industry or career field becomes unlocked?
That is an amazing question as well. I am quite fearful, to be honest with you. I know that we were just talking about AI and the growing presence of that. I think that AI is getting a little bit smarter than I could have anticipated. But I think that AI is kind of learning to do the job of a data analyst for you. So there's a lot that, like, even going into my job, I'm going to have to rely on AI to do. So, like, filing reports and learning how to do all of the different platforms and languages that we code in. AI can do it way better than anybody else can. So I'm sure the big companies are like, why would we hire somebody when AI can just write this code for us? In that sense, it's scary. But I'm glad, especially with like the math department at High Point, are kind of shifting their perspective on like data analytics and stuff as a whole, because now it's kind of teaching us like, okay, AI is going to be able to do this for you, but what's something that AI can't do that you're going to need to know how to do? Like presenting on data and drafting up a proposal for a company, everything like that. So while I think it's going to be a little bit less of a big step in the next coming years, I'm hoping that I'm learning stuff that is not going to get taken over by AI.
Yeah, and you were great. This was also something the HPU website was talking about with data science, is combining the like mathematical knowledge, all that, with like the communication skills. But you are great at that.
Thank you.
Like, you have a
Thank
great
you, University Ambassador.
You're like enthusiastic about everything. I feel like that's also kind of the honors in you.
Totally.
So I fear you're going to do great. You're gonna dominate.
Reed.
You're gonna dominate the market.
Wow, thanks.
But yeah, and I feel like you'll have a good perspective with incorporating AI, like not going against it, but learning how you can use it.
Absolutely.
Because there's always going to need to be jobs around like managing the neural network systems, and like I feel like we're always going to need to be able to fine tune the data, because until far off when AI like reaches singularity and all that, like it's not going to be aware of like, is this data correct or anything. And we're kind of seeing that with ChatGPT. It kind of spits out fake stuff sometimes.
It totally does.
Yeah, so there'll always be jobs. It just creates new jobs and more jobs. So,
honestly.
Yeah, I'll be interested to like check back in with you in 10 years and see like,
let's do a
reunion.
reunion.
Person are you?
We'll see.
Yeah, I'm gonna have like once people like graduate, I'll be gone too. But hopefully they'll start like an alumni series and we bring back and like check in. Like, here's where you were back in the world.
Hopefully employed.
Okay, so we got this really cool data science-y person you are with great communication skills. You love service and all that stuff. So, but then you're also an honor student, which we have not talked about. So how is your honors experience tied into all this? How has either honors influenced your experience in the data science program, or data science now influenced your experience in your honors classes and in that community?
Ooh, I am like live, love honors until the day that I die.
Yes.
And I largely credit honors for the reason that I'm in like so many different minors and majors, and the reason I was able to pick my major specifically.
Yeah.
I love honors because I feel like it's so like limitless with everything. Like as soon as I started taking my first honors classes, it immediately challenged the way that I initially thought about literally education as a whole. I'm very math oriented, so I'm very into like one answer, this grade is required on this class, everything of the sort. But I love any honors class that I took because it was like completely gonna take you out of your comfort zone and make you try something completely different. So the first honors classes I took, I remember being so uncomfortable and out of place. Like, what do you mean there's no grades? What do you mean like this is more presentation based, or like we're going to be taking field trips and doing all these wild activities and stuff? And I think I really needed that from like this perspective, because like who I was freshman year versus who I am now after going through the program, like I could have never seen myself doing anything else, especially for like gen ed classes and stuff. And now I have like all these different like economics, political science, like all these other minors and stuff. And it's because honors kind of like focuses so intensely on like going into different areas of learning and making sure you're getting an inclusive experience in your education. I'm so grateful for that. It like really changed me.
That's great. Do you wish there was like an honors class that was like kind of the embodiment of you? Because I feel like there could be one that's like data science and then political science and economics and all this.
Oh my God, yeah, I'll come back immediately. Anytime they can give me a job, I would create an honors class. I think the closest we get is math of democracy, because it's very like political science.
So there'll be like economics. A 3600 version of that.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is my personal, I will 100% teach that. But I would love to see like an economics honors class. I think that'd be so cool. Which we might have had one a couple years ago, but we don't right now.
It was one of the 3400s, like, I don't know, human collapse or something.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, Dean Hall used to teach it.
Dean Hall, and then I know Dr. Summers as well used to teach an honors class, but I don't think he does anymore.
That was fun. All in all, there's great stuff going on in the world and all that fun stuff. So, honors throwback. I also have access to the entire challenge archive.
Oh, no.
So, I'm gonna read your quote.
No.
And this is a good one. Do you remember your granny sleep challenge?
My granny sleep challenge.
Here's what you
that...
wrote. For the granny sleep challenge this week, my roommate and I decided to finally hunt down and kill the cricket that has been making noise and keeping us awake at night. It took us an hour, a shoe, and a lot of Windex. But we finally found the cricket and we were able to bring it down from its reign of terror. Now we are free to have a silent and relaxing night's sleep! ! We are no longer interrupted by the crickets chirping in the middle of the night.
Oh my, I have not thought about the cricket that used to live in my Finch dorm for years.
Yes.
Oh
And then
my
here's
gosh.
the photo of you and Ellie.
Oh my gosh. Wait, this is crazy, Reed. That was me killing a cricket. I am like rattled that you have access to that. You just unlocked something for
It's a
me.
little too powerful.
Ooh, oh my gosh. Yeah, that was colloquium core. And that was I love that you're thrown in the deep end with colloquium, your first semester in honors.
I know, but it's really needed and it's such a great experience.
I love
and it really kind of prepares you well. And like Dr. Hedman, who's our director and the leader of colloquium, he's so real with us.
Yes.
And like he calls us out. Hey guys, so funny story. Towards the end of my conversation with Maddie Litvan, my recording software just stopped for some reason. So I apologize for the abrupt end to our conversation. Luckily, it happened at the end, so you got to enjoy most of the episode. We just continued talking about how we love colloquium, but then I kind of wrapped it up with asking the traditional leave a question. So I want to make sure you guys find out what that is in case you were really wondering what Megan had to ask Maddie. So Megan had left the question for Maddie. If you had one piece of advice for your freshman self, what would it be? And Maddie gave a really good answer, and I apologize that I have to paraphrase it. But basically, she touched on how she would have told her freshman year self to be kinder to herself and to take the breaks and the rest that you need because it is a big change going to college, is basically what she was saying. So that was the one piece of advice, more eloquently put in Maddie's awesome voice, that she would tell her freshman self. Thank you so much, guys, for listening to another episode of the podcast. I really hope you enjoyed learning about data science, the history of it, and all the other fun things Maddie has learned about during her experience at HPU. Be sure to listen in next time.